I gripped the helicopter's skid tightly as we soared over the chaotic streets of Los Angeles, the night air thick with smoke and the distant wail of sirens. My heart raced with a mix of fury and determination. This madman had been terrorizing the city for too long, and tonight, I was ending it. Rappelling down into the abandoned warehouse, flames licking at the walls like hungry beasts, I felt the heat sear my face and the acrid smell burn my lungs. I crashed through the skylight, glass shattering around me like rain, landing in a crouch amid the debris. There he was, the madman, grinning maniacally with his wild eyes gleaming in the firelight, surrounded by bound hostages who whimpered in terror. "Come and get me," he taunted, firing shots that whizzed past my ear, forcing me to dive behind a rusted crate. Adrenaline surged through my veins as I returned fire, bullets ricocheting off metal beams, sparks flying like fireworks. We traded blows in a brutal dance. I charged him, tackling him to the ground, our fists connecting with bone-crunching impacts, sweat and blood mixing on the soot-covered floor. But then he rigged the place to blow. I barely had time to free the hostages before the explosion rocked the building, flames erupting in a deafening roar, engulfing everything in a hellish blaze. As the structure collapsed around me, I leaped out a window, the shockwave throwing me into the night, pain shooting through my body, but alive, barely, knowing the madman had escaped justice yet again. In the sterile courtroom, under harsh fluorescent lights that made everyone look like ghosts, I stood in chains, my body still aching from the burns and bruises. The judge's voice echoed coldly, accusing me of recklessness that cost innocent lives, even though I knew the madman had set the trap. Betrayal stung deep in my chest, years of risking everything for the city, and this was my reward? Emotions churned inside me, anger at the system, regret for the lost hostages, and a grim resolve as they sentenced me to cryostasis, a frozen hell where time would stand still. Escorted to the prison facility, a labyrinth of metal corridors humming with machinery, I felt a chill creep into my bones long before the process began. They strapped me into the chamber, needles piercing my skin with icy precision, injecting sedatives that blurred my vision. As the pod sealed shut with a hydraulic hiss, the temperature plummeted, my breaths slowing, thoughts fading into a void of nothingness. Panic flickered briefly, would I ever wake? But exhaustion won, pulling me into an endless, dreamless sleep. Decades later, consciousness slammed back into me like a freight train, my body convulsing in the thawing chamber, every muscle screaming in protest as frost melted from my skin. The world spun in disorienting lights and beeps. I gasped for air, disoriented and furious, ripping free from the restraints. This wasn't my gritty city anymore. The room was pristine, all white walls and holographic displays, staffed by wide-eyed technicians in crisp uniforms who recoiled in fear at my raw aggression. A wave of confusion hit me. Where was I? The enthusiast, a sharp-witted officer with curious eyes, approached cautiously, explaining this pacified future called San Angeles, where violence was a relic. I felt a surge of irritation mixed with amusement at their sanitized ways. No swearing, no chaos, just polite nonsense. As she briefed me on my revival to hunt the madman again, who had escaped and was wreaking havoc, excitement stirred in my gut. Finally, a purpose amid this bizarre, emotionless world. Navigating the sleek police headquarters, all glass elevators and automated voices fining people for minor infractions, I felt like a bull in a china shop, my old-school instincts clashing with their non-violent protocols. Suddenly, alarms blared. The madman had infiltrated, turning the place into a battlefield. I charged into the grand hall, marble floors slick under my boots, heart pounding with the thrill of combat. He was there, augmented and feral, laughing as he gunned down officers who froze in terror, their stun batons useless. Bullets flew, I dodged behind a pillar, shards exploding around me, adrenaline sharpening my senses. We grappled hand to hand, his enhanced strength slamming me against a wall, pain radiating through my ribs, but I countered with a headbutt that split his lip, blood splattering. Emotions boiled, hatred for his crimes, satisfaction in the fight, as I disarmed him temporarily, the enthusiast watching in awe. But he slipped away in the chaos, leaving me breathless and determined, the hall a wreck of shattered displays and fallen bodies. Invited to a lavish banquet in the ruler's opulent tower, overlooking the glittering, orderly cityscape at night, I felt out of place in my borrowed suit, surrounded by elite guests spouting scripted pleasantries. The food was bizarre, Taco Bells everywhere, but tension simmered beneath the surface. The ruler, a smug manipulator with a god complex, toasted to my revival, his eyes hiding schemes. As we dined on synthetic delicacies under crystal chandeliers, rebels, the scraps, crashed through the windows in a hail of improvised weapons, chaos erupting. I leaped into action, flipping tables for cover, fists flying in a whirlwind of punches and kicks, the air filled with shouts and breaking glass. Fear mixed with exhilaration as I protected the enthusiast, taking a graze from a projectile that burned like fire. We repelled them, but the attack exposed cracks in this perfect society, leaving me suspicious and energized, the room in ruins. In the enthusiast's minimalist apartment, all soft lighting and holographic interfaces, the atmosphere turned awkward as she suggested, sex, their way, virtual helmets for a mind meld without touch. Curiosity piqued, but frustration built. I craved real connection, not this detached simulation. Donning the device, visions flooded my mind, sensual but empty, leaving me irritated and pulling it off, my emotions raw with loneliness from years frozen. We argued, her idealism clashing with my primal needs, the room tense with unspoken desire. It ended in laughter, a spark of genuine bond forming, but underscoring how alien this world felt to me. Descending into the sewers, dank tunnels echoing with drips and distant voices, the stench of decay assaulting my nostrils, I tracked leads to the underground leader's lair. Emerging into a cavernous hideout lit by flickering torches, filled with rugged outcasts scavenging for real food, I felt a kinship, their raw freedom mirroring my own spirit. The leader, defiant and charismatic, ranted about the ruler's control, his words igniting hope and anger in me. As we shared a rat burger, gritty and flavorful, emotions swelled, solidarity with the oppressed, resolve to dismantle the facade. But alarms sounded, the madman was coming. Back on the surface, in a high-tech car that drove itself until I overrode it, I chased the madman through pristine streets now alive with panic. Tires screeched as we weaved between hovering vehicles, my hands gripping the wheel, pulse racing with the thrill of the hunt. He fired back, lasers scorching the hood, forcing me to swerve wildly, buildings blurring past. I rammed his ride, metal crumpling in a spark-filled crash, leaping out to tackle him on the pavement. Blows landed hard, his elbow to my jaw sending stars, my knee to his gut doubling him over, sweat stinging my eyes, fury driving every move. He escaped again, but the chase left me exhilarated, the city scarred by our rampage. Confronting the ruler in his command center, screens glowing with surveillance feeds, I uncovered his plot. He had programmed the madman to assassinate rebels, maintaining his iron grip. Shock turned to rage as he admitted it, his calm demeanor cracking under my glare. But the madman burst in, turning on his master, strangling him in a brutal display, the room filling with the ruler's gasps. I watched in grim satisfaction mixed with horror, the power vacuum looming as the body slumped. In the cryo-prison's frigid halls, pipes hissing with cold vapor, I faced the madman one last time amid thawing thugs he had released. The air was biting, my breaths visible, fear edged with steely focus. We fought savagely, guns blazing, fists and feet in a blur, him enhanced but me driven by pure will. I dodged his swings, countering with a pipe to his side, cracking ribs, blood on the icy floor. Emotions peaked, vengeance for the past, hope for a freer future. Pinning him, I activated the freeze system, watching Frost encase him in a crystalline tomb, his screams echoing until silenced. Shattering the ice with a final blow, shards exploding like diamonds, victory washed over me, exhaustion mingling with triumph. As the facility exploded behind us in a fireball lighting the night sky, I emerged with the enthusiast and allies, the city awakening to real freedom, swearing, fights, life unfiltered. Kissing her passionately amid the rubble, emotions overflowed, relief, joy, a sense of belonging in this messy new era. I knew challenges awaited, but for the first time, it felt like home.